Hi, Ravenous Romance readers. I'm Jessika Klide, author of Series Heart, a best-selling romance serial series, and I have another romance author interview for you to devour. Welcome, DB Sieders. Thanks for joining me today. Let's start off by sharing a little personal information about yourself.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm absolutely delighted to be here. By day, I am a biomedical breast cancer researcher, and in the evening, I like to write paranormal romance and urban fantasy romance as a side gig. And I really love having this extra outlet for my creative side and to balance all of the logic and analytical sides of my brain.
That is absolutely fascinating. Totally
They're
relate.
two very different worlds, but yet somehow in my brain, they come together.
I'm an accountant, so I totally get it.
Yeah.
So, what was your motivation for writing? And
It's,
how
there's a really fun story with that. So I've been an avid reader like most writers for my whole life, and I always kind of thought it would be fun to see it, to try my hand at it. So I was sitting on my back deck around 2008, and after two glasses of wine, I happened to look out over my backyard and into the tree line, and I happened to think, wow, what if a ghost came walking out of there? What would happen there? So that became the basis of a short story that became the basis of a novel, and then I've been hooked ever since.
Oh, that's awesome. The other day we were walking, and a plane went over, and I went, "Do you ever wonder where those people are, where they're going, who they are?" And he
Absolutely.
no. So the only writers think that stuff.
Yes, yes, yes. I totally get it. Yeah, everybody else is like, "What? Where does your mind go? Where do you get this stuff?"
Like we have
Like, it's a fun place up here.
right,
Yeah,
all over the place too.
yeah.
What influenced your writing career?
I have always been, I'm a nerd, of course, given my day job, but I loved reading about mythology. I was just super fascinated with it ever since I was a little kid. I love Greek mythology, Norse mythology. As I got older, I delved in a little bit more into like Slavic and Germanic and all of these interesting things. And like, I really love what mythology tells you about the culture and what it says about humanity. And so playing in that world was just kind of a natural extension. I love myths and legends. I play with urban legends. I take all of these amazing fantasies and kind of put my own unique spin on them, especially and in myths the heroines usually get the short end of the stick, right? So rewriting these myths from a perspective where the heroines can really take charge of their destinies, they can either match or exceed their heroes in strength, and they go on adventures together just really appealed to me.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really
Yeah.
fascinating that you do that.
Yeah, I love doing that.
So, what romance genre you said? Paranormal, and what was the other one?
And urban fantasy romance, yeah.
Fantasy romance. Okay. Can you explain that just a little bit? I'm not as familiar with that one.
So paranormal romance, it's like since it's a subgenre of romance, it's absolutely the central love story is key, and a happily ever after ending is key. Urban fantasy, the rules are a little bit more lax. It's more there are romantic elements involved, but it's more about the heroine or hero's journey, the adventure, what sort of external conflict they're trying to overcome, and the world.
What heat factor do you write on a scale of chili peppers, one being mild and five being scorching hot? Where is your romance?
It's between 3 and 4, depending on the book. Usually, we'll say 3.5. So the doors are open. You're invited to come take a peek in. There's a lot of sensuality, but I'm not super graphic. So yeah, I think that's about where I sit. For me, it's more about the emotion than the mechanics.
Yeah. Okay, I get that.
Yeah, yeah,
A lot of people will just skim over the really detailed stuff anyway. Especially if they're
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
they'll skim over it so that they can make their own fantasy. Because hello.
exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
So, how many books have you written so far?
Oh, let's see. I have, at last count, I have eight novels, seven novellas, and three short stories that I've published. I've got a lot of stuff on an external hard drive. Some of it will never see the light of day, but some of it, I will definitely revamp and come up with some new ideas. One of those novels is for a new series that I'm hoping to launch sometime in the next couple of years.
Okay, and how many series have you written then?
I've got two full-length series going on. So one is Southern Elemental Guardians, of which Forest Charm is the book number 5, and yeah, it deals with so elemental guardians are supernatural beings that are charged with protecting the earth and specifically what their element represents. So I have mermaids that protect the water. I have sylphs which protect air and wind. I have lampades that protect fire, and also we have a phoenix thrown in there. Her story is a little bit different. She has some really very specific and special gifts related to fire. And then there are the dryads like Beverly, the heroine of my book, who protect earth. So that's one of the series. And so it's how the world is kind of juxtaposed with reality and what happens when they come into contact with mortal.
Okay. All right. That's
yeah.
Cool. Totally out of my realm. Kudos for your imagination.
Yeah. Again, mythology nerd. So I was reading about all of these fascinating things. And I love myth. I love monsters. There's usually at least one monster. Like, I don't know if you were an X-Files fan, but the Monster of the Week episodes were my absolute favorites. So in addition to whatever personal demons they're dealing with, they're chasing a monster 9 times out of 10.
Oh, that's cool as heck.
Yeah.
Are you a plotter or a pantser?
I fly by the seat of my pants. I generally know how a book's going to begin. I know how it's going to end. The middle is always interesting, how we're going to get there.
Yeah. Isn't it funny how the characters just take a life of their own and they start talking and it's like you're just kind of writing it down?
Yes, I have one character who started as a subplot in the first book, and he got his own book, number 3, and he makes it a point to insert himself into every story in the series. Isn't that hilarious? Yeah.
I've actually gotten over halfway finished with the book, and then the hero just said, "Hello, I got to talk," and it was like, "Oh my god, I got to go back and start."
I know, it's crazy. You try to get them to behave, but they go rogue and feral, and sometimes they bite you.
Right? Oh my god. Yeah. So, does your spouse read your novels?
He has actually read the novels. So my husband is originally from the Netherlands, and he's a native Dutch speaker, although his English is perfect. But my mother-in-law doesn't speak English as often, so she picked up my books and was getting kind of bogged down in all the Americanisms and slang. So she started making notes of things that she wanted translated or explained to her. And after 3 pages, my husband said fine, and he picked up the book so he could go along and explain them to her, which was very sweet. And he's more of a nonfiction guy, but he's definitely engaged by the stories, and he's super supportive of what I do.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm a lucky, lucky woman. He's a great man, and he's the model for a lot of my heroes. Although of course, in real life, we don't like the bad boys so much, messed up bad boys. So he doesn't have that aspect, but he's got the honorable, noble, great man to have around kind of vibe.
Yeah. How long have you been married?
17 years, coming up on the 21st, so just in a few weeks. Yeah. Thanks.
Oh, okay. So, let's talk about your new release, Forest Charms. You mentioned it is part your book 5 in your series. So, how'd you come up? And give us a little bit of background on it, the series.
Well, okay. Well, the title I came up with because I was looking for something. So she's an earth elemental, a dryad, and her specialty is trees. So forest had to be in there. And Forest Charm just sounded good because it's kind of almost like a grown-up fairy tale. So I kind of like, the elements and a little bit of the mystery behind that.
Right.
So Beverly Forrester, she's a dryad, an earth elemental, and she's actually a hybrid. So her father was human, her mother was an immortal elemental guardian. So she has a lot of secrets. Her parentage is sort of a secret, and she spends a lot of time lurking in the shadows and kind of avoiding others of her kind, because in my fiction universe, dryads are kind of on the lower end of the hierarchy. So, and they're often exploited by by wind elementals, water, and fire elementals. So she has trust issues. That's her biggest challenge to overcome. Mm-hmm. And she's graced by her mother with this beautiful secret garden that kind of exists in a parallel reality. There's a doorway that can take you from the mortal world to the secret garden and back again.
Right.
And it's kind of like, it's a repository for Earth's bounty. So it has all kinds of plant and animal species that are sort of protected. And she's charged with guarding this resource. So when something threatens the resource, she has to learn to trust and turn to her fellow elemental guardians and our hero. So our hero comes into the story. He's on his family farm, which is part of Beverly's territory. And he's a former Marine who just got back from a really terribly foobarred mission. He was on a joint mission with his unit and the DEA to take down a drug lord at his compound. And there weren't supposed to be civilians present, but there were, and there were casualties. And because of gaps in memory, and because sometime during the battle, Jack was taken over by a beast, a monster that lives within him and comes out at the most unexpected times, he's not sure whether he's responsible. So he's come to the farm to heal and to hide from the world as well. So they have that in common. They both have secrets. They're both hiding. But it turns out when he encounters Beverly, his monster is there for a reason. And that reason is in line with Beverly's mission to protect the garden.
Oh, cool. And you're not going to tell us anything more, are you?
No. I got to keep some surprises, but this one was great fun to write. I mean, most of the series has focused on water elementals. It started out with 2 mermaid stories. Then the guy from the subplot is a wind guy who's in every story, and he is in this one too. So I'm like, I need an earth elemental. And she started out as a side character in book 2, but I happen to think, why is she so secretive? So she showed up and she was helping rescue one of the mermaids who got captured by mortal monster hunters, but she didn't like to talk about herself, and she disappears very quickly afterwards. So that kind of became the birth of her character. And I always wondered, why is she hiding? And fortunately, she decided to tell me.
I hear you.
Yeah.
So, what came first, the character or the plot?
The characters always come first to me. I usually will get a scene, and it usually involves one or more of the main characters. And whatever they're doing in this scene tells me something about them and their struggle. So when I first met Beverly, she was in her treetop environment spying on Jack. So Jack's come to this cabin to retreat, to hide. So she's kind of looking in on him, wondering, who is this man and what is he doing in my territory? So we automatically know she's secretive. She's a little shy, but she sees this lonely man, and something in his loneliness and his struggle, even though she doesn't know exactly what it is, calls to her. So that's what I saw first, and I was able to build from that. And then Jack told me, okay, I'm a Marine. I went on this terrible mission. Yeah. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it as we go along. So, yeah.
Yeah. And all that is characteristic of our world today.
Yeah.
It really is. So you're actually giving us a in a fantasy world, and a lot of people can actually take that and relate to it because it's not so real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, a lot of times this I could write these stories without the supernatural element, but you know what? They just make it so much more fun for me.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier on the soul, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Just that one step away from reality. Yeah, I agree.
I want you to go there and enjoy it without all the
without being bogged down by reality. Yeah, I definitely want to take you on an adventure and let you escape from everyday life. Yes.
Exactly. I love it. That's awesome.
Cool.
So, Forest Charmed is Dana's new book, and we are happy to have her here for our interview. That's actually all the time we have. So thanks, Dana, for joining me and sharing with us.
Thank you so much.
Forest Charmed. I will be posting links and buy links, and she's got a big giveaway going on. So you guys go to her page on Romance Devoured. All right.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Head over to romancedevoured.com to learn more. Every week they give away free books. The link is posted below. If you like this video, then give a thumbs up and post a comment too. Subscribe to this channel to receive notification when I post a new author interview.